Raw Mike Richards, as we get ready for the Masters. And it is sort of I don't know, certainly in North America, it's almost like a holiday, so to speak. It's there's a magic to it. And as I said, it is that feeling that is predominantly North American. You're probably not going to talk that same way if you're over in England or Scotland. They don't see it like we're not praying at at the altar of the Masters like we do over here. But what I think is so interesting is the two guys that we're talking about the most, and this goes for this morning: Tiger Woods, who may or may not play, and Phil Mickelson, who is not playing. And those have been the two guys, certainly in my household, that have been the conversation, just like most people's, for the last couple of decades. Tiger, of course, does what Tiger does best, which is wow everyone on the range, and then have a press conference where he goes, hitting the ball pretty good, going out there, and it's like, okay, now he just teases. Where Phil, even Bryson DeChambeau says, Phil's gone dark. I've tried to reach out to him, and I haven't talked to Lefty, and he hasn't got back. Like, it's dark. So there's a lot to talk about, including who we think will win. So if we need the magic, let's go to the Doughboy. Bruce Dowbiggin joins here this morning. My good friend, how you doing, Brewster?
I'm fine. How are you, lad?
Doing great. It's it's a great time of season. And of course, here in Ontario, where it starts to warm up a little bit, you can see, there's a little bit of, Blue Jay talk, which of course is huge right now because of, what the team looks like. And now the province finally opened up and you're able to see the games. But the Masters does have that magic. But it's so odd to think that Phil, for his own reasons, I suppose, this self-imposed jail he's put himself into. But I hope this isn't come on, this can't be the end for Phil, right? Look, those comments probably not real popular in a lot of places, but it's not like some of those things weren't said before. It's just a shame that Phil's not going to be in this tournament.
I was kind of hoping he'd show up for the dinner last night. Did you see the picture? All the boys in their green jackets. I just thought, Phil, if he crashed that dinner, that would just be like the best thing. That would be so Phil. The whole story and him mouthing off and beaking off about the Saudis. Yeah, well, they cut off heads and, and they throw gays off buildings. But, this is an opportunity for us, a business opportunity. I just thought, this is so Phil. He's been so insulated for so long by his success that I don't think reality has made a visit for a while. And you can see exactly the same thing happened with Greg Norman. And Greg Norman went off the deep end. And, he's persona non grata really in the golf world, Greg Norman. And guess what? He's the other guy who's talking to the Saudis. So it would have been fun to see Phil crash in there last night with all those old boys and mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's and look, it is that kind of club, right? It's the oldest of the old boys. The course itself. Now, it was kind of funny looking at a story that I saw here this morning about how inflation has hit Augusta National, because even the pimento sandwiches and the ice cream sandwich, the peach, whatever it's called, they've all gone up to a massive, like they're now $2 as opposed to yes, as opposed to $1.50. Now, if you want to eat that pimento sandwich for $1.50, knock yourself out. Because I've heard Michael Collins, who's down, they are terrible. These are bad sandwiches. So
you want to $1.50? It's like the $1.50. The $1.50 hot dog at Costco. You know what I'm saying? You know what you're getting. It's $1.50. You're not getting filet mignon right there.
Now beer is $5 there, which is that's steep for Augusta, because it's a time machine. It's a vacuum, right? You go back in there and it's 1940 or 1950 all over again. But now, have you been to Augusta before?
I haven't been to Augusta. I'm not one of the ones who's really into the magic of Augusta. Oh, there's just too much BS going on. The stuff about calling them patrons, you can't call them fans, and all of the lore about the place. Look, it's a bunch of crotchety old white guys who live down on the Georgia, South Carolina border, and they got a good thing going. They don't want anybody to mess it up. But I've always thought that, look, there's maybe 50 guys who have a chance to win this tournament this weekend. And if somebody gets out there and gets a lead, about half of them will collapse too. It's a small field, an invitational field. They'd like to invite the left-handed amateur champion of Japan gets to play in this thing. Or if you're one of the guys who was at the dinner last night, and you're 80, you can still crawl out there and hit the ball. come on out. You can still play. So I'm not as much enthralled with it, except that the timing is right, Mike. It's like,
Oh yeah,
some things are at the right time of year, and this, like the Robins in the spring and all that sort of stuff, says, hey, it's time to tee it up. In Calgary, the same thing. We're opening up this week here to play.
Nice.
So yeah,
Now,
we've had some decent weather.
When we look at the names, and I've seen a lot of the guys at ESPN, there's some names that you expect to see. Scotty Scheffler. There's a Cameron Smith in there, Brooks Koepka, John Rahm, Victor Hovland seems to be, in terms of value in your bet and what you would get back. Victor Hovland seems to be, he's only 24. I forget how young he still is.
Yeah. Well, this is a tournament, though, that not many guys have ever won when they're young. I mean, Tiger's an exception. This is a place you got to go around a few times to know what the heck you're doing. To be able to understand where the shortcuts are and where the trouble is, et cetera. So, when I'm looking at this, I look at a veteran. And I guess about 6 weeks ago, I took some futures on a few guys. One of whom, of course, you'll love, Shane Lowry.
Yeah.
I think this is a course that suits him well. He's played really well this year. He's steady. He's won a major already. I think he could be a guy who really is. And if you're looking for value in terms of dollar, spending $1, he's pretty good. You mentioned what's his name, Smith, Cameron Smith, from Australia. Smith, he's probably playing the best of anybody this year. He was fantastic at the Players. And if you look at the guys who are the favorites, the John Rahms, the Rory McIlroys, the Justin Thomases, nobody's coming in on form. Like, nobody's had any form this spring that you go, oh, he's going to win by 10 strokes.
Right.
So I think this is a tournament where we could see somebody from the middle of the pack, like Shane Lowry. And the other guy I like too, and we might as well talk about him, and I think he's got a good shot, is Corey Connors. Again, another guy who's been really steady this year. Yeah. And he's not a guy who gets rattled. I think he's a guy who's got a good chance at this tournament.
Yeah, I love his game, and he's always, because he's Canadian, he's a little bit under the radar. And he's not, obviously, he plays with the big boys and he can beat them. Yeah. He hasn't really, won a big one yet, but is it shocking to think that he could come in and win this tournament? I don't think so. I think that's, and you're talking about value, that's great value.
Well, and again, if you saw 2 weeks ago when they had the match play tournament in Texas, he was in the Final Four. And he gave, I guess it was Scheffler. Yeah, he gave Scheffler everything he could want in the semifinals. And no, sorry, it wasn't Scheffler. It was Kevin Kisner. But he was in the Final Four. Again, steady. He doesn't do stuff to beat himself. He just can't putt well enough to. He could have had 2 majors already. He could have won 5 times on the tour if he could just putt a little bit better. The other thing that's kind of sad for me is that Adam Hadwin isn't in the field. Hadwin's been one of the hottest golfers in the world in the last month. He was tied for 4th last week, tied for 7th the week before that, tied for 9th the week before that. So I'm kind of disappointed. And again, Augusta, and I haven't been there to play, but the people who I know who've been there, it's not a course where you have to be exceptionally long. It's a place where you can win if you're one of these guys who puts it out there maybe 300 yards as opposed to the 380-yard bombers. So I think there's a chance there again for a guy like Adam Hadwin, let's say, who doesn't necessarily kill the ball. He would have been good here because he can keep his ball in play.
Yeah, and if ever there was a place where your putter had to be accurate with whatever it will stimp at by the time. I mean, I don't know what the weather conditions, but they get it in the 13s, the 14s. It's like putting on glass. Like, it's
what did Gary McCord say? They bikini waxed the greens, and then they wouldn't let him go back on the air again. He's not allowed.
Be careful what you say, right? It's everyone be careful. Yeah. Hideki Matsuyama is saying that he has a stiff neck, and so he's going to defend that I guess, but still, a stiff neck is one of the few sports where you think about it, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but in golf, I don't even know how you'd play with that. I mean, that'd be very difficult.
Well, he pulled out last week. I follow him a lot because occasionally I put a bob here and there. I follow him a lot, and he's just not on form, and he's not healthy. So I think it would be a very long shot for him to win this week. It'll be, I think, if you're putting a bob down or two on him not making the cut, might even be a good bet too.
Yeah, that's a very good bet. Now it is 8:49. Newstalk Sauga 960. Raw Mike Richards. We're in conversation with Bruce Dowbiggin here. When you look from afar, so Daryl comes in to coach the Flames, and people are like, this is not a fit. Johnny Hockey's not going to play the way. I mean, these are not Daryl guys. And then, with Markstrom and just the way that they have played has been from afar just kind of fantastic. And I'm biased, and I'm also a Daryl guy, because of my own personal relationship. So I almost take me into the conversation. But the one thing that does sort of, I don't have a grip on, I don't have an understanding of, is between the city itself and this new building and the mayor, who I don't get is the mayor. And what is the situation? Is it bad enough that there would be some concern that the Flames are not going to continue being in Calgary, or is that it is a possibility?
Sure. I mean, the owners, so people know that they had a deal. This new mayor came in, the mayor who declared a climate emergency on the first day she was on the job. She came in and decided to change the deal that they had and put solar panels on the porta potties or something. I don't know, some green thing she wanted to do. And Murray Edwards, who is the principal over not a guy to mess around with. Most of the time he spends it in England. He lives in England. Anyhow, he just said, that's it. We spent 3 years getting this deal together. Now you want to start changing stuff. So it's nowhere, Mike. It's nowhere. And this isn't the ownership group is committed, but they're not the kind of deep pockets guys who are, I got $1 billion in this pocket that we're going to spend. So it's a big concern. One of the things I've said, and you understand the city a little bit, the southwest side of the city, of course, is bordered by the Tsutsina, the native land. And I just said, if I was one of the owners, I would just go over there because they can do whatever they want. They don't have to worry about anything. I would go to the natives and I would say, the Tsutsina, and say, hey, listen, let's build on your property and we'll do a great deal. Since you moved, there's now a ring road around the city. So anybody can get to any corner of the city within 40 minutes. So it wouldn't be a big problem for transport. That's what I would do. But thank goodness the team is playing well, because if people had to think about what's going on with the rink and how far off it is and that we may not even get it, people are really concerned.
I would bet. I mean, and look, I still have that house in Discovery, so that'd be a great location if I was still there, because I could basically walk to the rink. Yeah.
Parking in the driveway.
Yeah, we'll go old Iverwin Stadium. I'll let people park on my lawn for $10.
Yeah, but anyway, people are happy about the team. Daryl's a little bit different from the time back in 2004 when they made the run. He's kind of figured things out a little bit about how to do things. One of the things he's done, Mike, is he's basically letting his assistant coaches occasionally do the media days. He's not there every day. He's not grinding, and this is the best team I've seen since in the 22 years since I moved to Calgary, 23 years, whatever it is. This is an elite team in terms of their offense, how they move the puck. I'm just extremely impressed, and everybody I know around the place, well, Perry Barazan, as you well know, a couple of the former, they say this is Daryl. This is Daryl's doing. This is his genius and how this team is playing. So they've had a couple of injuries lately. But if they don't get too banged up, I think there's a shot. I mean, I put some money down on them winning the West, and I put some money down on them winning the Cup, because I think they have the depth and they have the goalie. And Daryl, again, as a coach, has been there, and that's really important.
Yeah, I think it's misunderstood as someone I once described when we were playing golf in Calgary, one of the courses, and it was one of those best ball celebrity things. I remember one guy said, he goes, you're kind of close to the Sutters, right? I said, well, a little bit. Yeah, he goes, they all have that, and this is how he described it, that sour beer face.
Yeah. Daryl's got the best one.
Yeah, and I always think, but I said, but if you're not from there or don't, people are like, he's funny. Like Daryl's actually kind of funny, and he's not a screamer, and he's also not one of these guys that, I mean, he is a lifer. I mean, we all know that, but his understanding of the game, like it's genius like, and it's not like he wouldn't adapt or change. Like guys like Ken Hitchcock, like Hitch is never going to change. There's some coaches that can't be in the league anymore because they only know one way. And it was perceived that Daryl was dinosaur-like, but the guy has a hockey IQ, unlike most people and even coaches that I know. So
you've nailed it. That's what surprised me when I heard they were naming him the coach again. I just thought, first the arena and now this. How many more ways can you kill this team? But he has smoothed out the rough edges. He has adapted his game. He has found a way to communicate with younger players. And listen, Johnny Gaudreau everyone wanted to trade him a year ago, and now, of course, he leads Austin Matthews in scoring. By the way, if anybody's looking at the scoring table, but he's found a way to have him play his best. And not be an issue. And Sean Monahan, who was kind of another guy who was in trouble with Daryl, he didn't adapt. now he's out for the season, but he's likely going to be traded. So he's worked with the best guys in the team. If you look at their defense, there's no big names there, but they play as a team, Mike. It's really impressive, and they're a fun team to watch. When they play the Oilers, and they throw away the whistles and they just go back up and forth. One of the things that he does really well too is he's using the full length of the rink. The Flames use the escape, like the 100-foot pass all the time to get out of their zone. It's really exciting to see happen.
Oh, that's great stuff. Because in the glory days that I was there, the way that they won was not necessarily entertainment and fireworks and fun. I mean, they grind you down like an anaconda. They'd shut the door. Reggie would sit there and pound guys in their defense, and Mika would stand on his head and they'd win 2-1. Like, because they wouldn't score. I mean, it was a tough way to watch. I mean, I was sweating more than the players were when they'd win that way. And now you get popcorn and you get to watch the fireworks. We got to run. Great to see.
It was the glory days, by the way, because you were here.
Wow.
That was why it was the glory days.
Not that I don't miss that on every second of the day. And, we should do this on a regular basis. We really should. Yeah. If you don't mind getting up,
love talking golf anytime.
Okay, well, we'll figure out something. Well, look, you take care. Great to see you, my friend.
Thanks, dude.
Best to your family, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Okay, thanks. We'll see you.
That is Bruce Dowbiggin joining us here this morning, talking a lot of golf amongst other things, and golf picks. Ooh, because you got to start thinking that way, Brendan. You need to gamble more. I don't know. I know your family listens, and they don't want to hear the terrible things that I say, but I think you really do. It is